Okay. So I can,
Go ahead.
if I may, because it's against the law for us to even be dealing with heathens, but in the chance that we do, this is how we go about getting a heathen wife.
I don't like the way you said that. Not really. Anybody else want to take a stab at it before I go ahead and give it to you? All right. Nobody. Somebody give me Deuteronomy chapter 7, where it's talking about not dealing with women from the other nations. Start there. Then we're going to read this law again. Then we'll go back and see if we can't figure out what his original question was about. Go ahead.
Deuteronomy chapter 7 verse 1.
Is that where it's talking? Is that where it's talking about not marrying women from another nation? In verse 1.
Verse 1 and 4, sir.
All right, give me verse 4. Let's skip to it.
Start at verse 3.
Give me verse 3.
Deuteronomy 7, chapter 7, verse 3. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son.
There you go. Keep going.
Verse 4. For they will turn away thy son from following you.
That's the reason why we don't deal with the other nations. It's the same thing that happened to Solomon. Because they can turn us from following our God to following their God, right? Now, if you go into war and you killing everybody in that place and you doing everything what the Lord is telling you to do, now you've taken their God off the table. You're in a position of control, right? These want to marry heathens now because they in a position of control. They feel like, oh, the white girl got some money, or she got some power, or she got some status, or she got something like that, right? In this particular situation where we was talking about, we got the control, we got the status, and this was telling you to strip her of her identity, of her God, of her culture, and then you would be able to do that. But this takes a cleansing process. You don't just bring no nasty heathen back and make her your wife. There was work that needed to be done in order for her to even be in a position to where she could be. And this was not for a priest. A priest could not at all, right? So let's read. Now that we know the reason why, let's go back to Deuteronomy 21. Go back to Deuteronomy 21 and go again and read 10 again, Racon.
Deuteronomy chapter 21, verse 10. When thou goest forth to war against thine enemies, and Yahweh, thy power, have delivered them into thine hand, and thou hast taken them captive, and seest among the captives a beautiful one.
You have taken, here's where it starts. When you go into war and you have taken them captive, this is the only time. You ain't ruling over nothing now. You in slavery. So therefore, a person, your so-called woman, can rule over you if this is what's going on. When they're in captive, it's the same way that they said. I was watching a documentary, and they said that even back in the 60s and the 50s, white men, they called them nighttime integrationalists. What did that mean? Nighttime integrationalists. Go ahead, Trooper.
If I may, I one that they did a lot of raping and molesting of our women at nighttime.
Not only that, but sometimes they just went and had company with them, and the women let them. The women accepted them in. But yeah, we're going to call it rape, and we're going to call it that because even if it's the same way as when a black woman now sleeps with a white man. She thinks she's going to get something out of deal, some type of preferential treatment, some type of money, some type of something that's different than what she's going to get from dealing with her brother who is being hated and oppressed the same way she is. Same thing. But what the brother is saying is right. This is when they went in there and they raped our women and did all this. It was at night, and then they act like they were disgusting and that they wasn't attracted to them during the daytime. Everybody follow me so far on that, right?
Oh God.
Well, this is the same thing. If you were ever in a position where you wasn't wasn't the person that's being oppressed and the person that's the slave and the servant, if you're in a position of power, then you have an opportunity to do certain things that you wouldn't be. The reason why this is different from where we at now is because we ain't took over no land. We ain't at war. We ain't doing nothing but serving. So why would you want to go and be in bed with your slave master? You get that part, right? Nashak? All right. Now, in addition to that, keep going up. Recome.
And seeth among the captives a beautiful woman, and has a desire unto her, that thou wouldest have her to thy wife. Then thou shalt bring her home to thine house, and she shall shave her head and pare her nails.
What's the point of her doing that? What's the point of her doing that? Nashak?
Yes, sir.
Nashak?
To mourn the loss of her parents.
What they got to do with it?
Well, she can to give her time to I heard this breakdown because I got it highlighted. To give her time.
That's all in there. What you're saying and what you're trying to get to, that's all in there. But specifically, I'm talking about shaving her head and cutting off her nails. Remember, we brought this up.
So then I know it, sir.
Go ahead.
So then, like when you see her like that, now you can really decide, do you want to deal with her or not?
That's not the answer. Anybody else want to help the brother out? Go ahead.
And if I may, is to strip her of her culture, her identity, and her God, and to let her know that you are her husband and her Adawan at this point now.
Nah, man. Let me explain it to you. It's cleansing. You don't. Who is that? Oh, what you said? You had the answer? Go ahead.
I do. You said what was the purpose of shaving her bald and cutting her nails?
Yes.
It was to strip off her pride because, strip off her pride because she...
That had a lot to do with it, but it's something y'all missing. Remember when we was talking about lepers and when we was talking about once you do the vow and you done with it or whatever, you shave your hair off. And when I asked Officer Shaward, that was yesterday in class, did that have anything to do with the thing in Leviticus where they was talking about the lepers would shave their hair and wash their clothes and all of this other stuff? First of all, this is a disgusting heathen you bring into your house. All right, it's cleansing purposes. That's the problem. That's the reason it's there. This is a heathen that you talking about marrying. Absolutely.
Oh, my bad. I thought it was a concubine sister. My bad.
It is a concubine sister, but this is read it again from verse 10. The sister might have missed it.
Deuteronomy chapter 21, verse 10. When thou goest forth to war against thine enemy, and Yahweh thy power have delivered them into thine hand, and thou hast taken them captive, and seest among the captive a beautiful woman, and has a desire unto her, that thou wouldest have her to thy wife. Then thou shalt bring her home to thine house, and she shall shave her head and pare her nails, and she shall put the remnant of her captivity from off her, and shall remain in thine house, and bewail her father and her mother a full month. And after that thou shalt go in unto her, and be her husband, and she shall be thy wife.
All right. Now, stop right there.
Stop.
Hello?
Excuse me. You know what I believe that means is that before he decides to make her his wife, he has to cleanse her of all her sins. She got to come in from those streets and be cleansed of her mentality, everything that she's been taught, be stripped, and then rebuilt back up. Then he can marry her, because once she marries him, she has to marry into his belief and whatever he is, because he's the man of the house.
Okay.
So I think by shaping her and purifying her first is what they're saying that she needs to do.
This is you right on that, but what we talking about, you're absolutely right. That's the reason for you doing all of this, is to cleanse her. But this is a heathen though. So she ain't got the same custom. You saying it like if she was a heathen eating dog before, it wasn't no sin to her and her family. They could eat dog because the Lord never gave them that the Lord never gave them that law. So what you're doing is you stripping of her entire culture, and at the same time you doing what the brother was saying. You humbling her, you getting rid of her God, you allowing her to understand her family's gone, and she is actually a captive, and now is under the authority of an Israelite. Now, the reason why I went through all of this is the brother was bringing out something in Numbers, where the brothers went and did this, but they did not do what was said right here in this law. And you also have fake Israelites and other people who try to find a reason to marry a heathen, who will try to pull this on you. What I want you to make sure to do is starts off when you at war and you have captives. This is the only scenario in which, and you basically taking this person as a servant. But even if you look at the time where it's talking about a servant can become your wife, it also says you still have rules to everything you're doing. If you ain't shaved her hair, if you ain't pared her nails, if you ain't took over her city, if you ain't killed her parents, then it's still a chance that she can do what they said in Deuteronomy chapter 7. And that is she can turn you.
Did you say
Salaki,
her parents or her appearance?
Her parents. Her parents. Sis.
No, I think all of that is symbolic. That's a sin. You're gonna kill her parents?
Sis.
That doesn't even make sense.
Sis. Who is this talking?
This is Shakira.
How you doing, Shakira? And here what we do is we have rank order instruction in the class so that everybody's not talking at once. When you want to say something, when you say something, you just say, excuse me, and then I'll give you the floor to talk. Or other than that, you know, we gonna just do it the way it. Yeah, we ain't gonna. Yeah. So what I'm telling you is, if you look at the scripture where the brother is at, this is talking about us being at war with another nation, and if we have taken them captive, finding a woman that we want like to keep as our wife among those heathens. That's what we're reading right now. The Bible the Bible is full of war and death and people killing, but we ain't talking about killing for no reason. We were taking over lands. You ain't just gonna go when Christ come back and to take over this earth. They're not just gonna give it to him. There's going to be bloodshed. Other nations are going to have to die. And then you got to decide what you're going to do with their dog, with their children, with their houses, with their cattle, with everything that they own that we ain't never had. Anybody on here got cattle? Anybody on here, you got all of this stuff that we planning on doing when we take over the earth and serving under Christ? These are the rules that's in this Bible for a nation that is going to rule over other nations. for a nation that's going to be on top of other nations. So what my point in bringing this out is, this was talking about the only way that you can deal with a heathen woman is if you are taking over their land and you decide to spare her, to have mercy on her and not kill her like you killing everybody else that deserves to die. These nations are, if you go back to Deuteronomy 7, where we came from, who was that pulled Deuteronomy 7 for me? That was Shakar?
Oh, so I got it right here.
Read Deuteronomy 7 from verse 1 real quick. I want to make sure, because I want to make sure, because this, I don't know if y'all came in, the sisters, Yakal and the other sister, I think it was, can you say your name again, sis?
Shakira, baby.
Shakira.
Yeah.
When y'all came in, I want to make sure y'all knew the context of what we reading, because a lot of people, like, when you reading the Bible, sometimes you'll hear something, you'll be like, that don't sound right. That ain't like what I've been told. Just get the context on it, and you realize, like, it was nothing like it is right now. Things had to happen, and sometimes, and even the Lord killed people in the Bible. You know what I'm saying? That's what the flood was. That's what Sodom and Gomorrah and all of that stuff is, because they deserve to die. Right? So it ain't kill. It's not murder. It wasn't for no reason. They earned that death. Go ahead and read, Shakar.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7, verse 1. When the Most High thy power shall bring thee into the land where thou goest to possess it, and has cast out many nations before thee. So
the Lord is bringing us in. The Lord is bringing us into lands that He's going to give us. But guess what? It's already people there. He got to get rid of the people that's there in order to get. It was already people that was in the land of milk and honey that the Lord promised us. So how we gonna get it if those people are there? You think they just gonna give it to us? Keep reading, huh?
The Hittites and the Girgashites and the Amorites and the Canaanites and the Perizzites.
All of these were people. All of these was people that was in the land already. What happened to those people? Keep going.
And the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou.
These people were greater and mightier than us. But the Lord gonna give us their land. How is He gonna do that? Keep reading, huh?
Verse 2. And when the Most High thy power shall deliver them before thee.
They gonna deliver them before thee. Let me ask you this question. Any one of the priests that's in here, when they say the Lord is going to deliver them before thee, what does that mean? Go ahead.
Yeah, that means He's gonna kill them right before you.
Precept.
No, sir.
Go ahead.
Oh, is it? I kill and I make alive?
No, that's not the one I'm looking for. It's Christ. Christ said it. Go ahead.
Oh. No, I was gonna say the Lord is a man of war. So I got one.
Go ahead. Go. That wasn't it in the shot. Go ahead.
It's the one when He said if anybody, I'm paraphrasing, don't want to follow me or worship me, slay them before me.
Luke 19 and 27. Somebody get me that real quick so we can see that this is in the Bible. The Christ that they taught you in the church is not the Christ of the Bible. It ain't all cookies and bubbles and fireworks and beautiful and doves. Sometimes, in order for you to rule over a nation, you have to put some people to death. This is what Christ said. Go ahead and read it, Racon.
Luke chapter 19, verse 27. But those mine enemies, which would not that I should reign over them.
This is written in red, right? This is written in red, right? All right, read it again from the top.
But those mine enemies.
Wait a minute. I thought Christ loved everybody. I thought God loved everybody. How you gonna be an enemy to Christ? Keep going.
Which would not that I should reign over them. Bring hither and slay them before me.
That's what Christ said. You know why? Because everybody ain't gonna want Christ to rule over them. You know why? Because they ain't gonna be able to have crab balls, and they ain't gonna be able to smoke weed, and they ain't gonna be no strip clubs, and it ain't gonna be all of the stuff that people that fell in love with in this world right here. It's not going to happen when Christ is ruling over. So they're gonna fight for the things that they love to do, as opposed to what we do on a daily basis, and that's fight for righteousness, fight for what the Lord wants. All of that stuff, if we sat here every day and act like everything that they doing in the world ain't fun and it ain't delicious and it don't feel good, we'll be fooling ourselves. But we men and women of the Lord said, forget that what we love and what we like and what feels good to us. We're going to do what thus saith the Lord. All right. So with us doing that, the other nations are not going to. You think Donald Trump will give up his seat for a black man from the tribe of Judah named Yahushua? Yeah, right. That's why he's talking about building a space force. That's why he's talking about fighting this, that, and trying to keep the blacks and Hispanics and all of these people out of the country and do all this and lock them up in alarming rates and kill them and all of this, because he does not want the Lord reigning on this earth, because he cannot live deliciously if the people of God are the ones that's in authority. So now, even back then in the Old Testament, this is when the Lord is showing you what he did to these other nations in order to give us the land of milk and honey. When they sent spies over to the land that the Lord said he was going to give us, they saw giants and they saw all these different people, and they was like, well, how are we going to kill them? It's the same way as right now. You're looking at the white man in his position that he's in, and you're like, well, how are we ever going to rule and reign on top of him? He's so powerful. He got nukes, he got missiles, he got guns, he got tanks, he got this, and we ain't got nothing. Well, if it's not the Lord intervening and giving us the power, we'll be dealing with, just like the Hittites and the Girgashites and the 7 nations that was greater than us. We won't be able to do it. All right. So when we're talking about us taking over a land or something like that, it sounds foreign to us. And the sister was like, you talking about killing her parents? That's against the law. No, in the midst of war and in the midst of battle, that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about going out and killing somebody. I was just reading in the scriptures where when the Lord was giving us the land, he allowed our army to defeat their army. All right, you understand, sis, right? No, I was referring to the other sister first. I think you understand that. You get.
I understand, but it's something else. I'm kind of taken aback from. From my understanding, I want to make sure it's clear, like you say, context. The scripture that you guys have told about, shaving your head bald, enemies. I always thought that was concerning, the Israelite tribes against other Israelite tribes.
No.
We're not supposed to be taking heathen women as wives. So now I'm hearing something different.
Okay. What you have to understand is there are different, how can I put it? There are different laws that pertain to different times. You don't have the same law that pertains to if you murder somebody, or same judgment if you murder somebody or if you steal something. All right. You don't have the same judgment if you I'm trying to get it. Okay. It's no contradiction. You just have to understand what it's talking about, because you have wives, you have concubines, you have different things like that. All right. When you're in a position of servitude, you do not have the right to serve your slave master. I broke that down when I kept reading. Keep reading in Deuteronomy 7, and I'll make sure the sister get it before we move on. This is talking about Go ahead.
What I want to know is, in the kingdom that's coming,
right?
So you're saying that Israelite brothers can get heathen wives when Christ comes?
First of all, why would an Israelite brother want a heathen wife? Second of all, there wasn't millions of Israelites at this point in time that we talking about. Israel was a very small nation. Moses had a heathen wife. Moses, hold on, Salakia. Moses had a heathen wife. You do know that, right? Abraham had a heathen wife. You do know that, right? Okay. The reason why you should not have a heathen wife is because they will turn you away from following and keeping the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High, because they're going to bring their culture and put it on you. If you let the brother read it again, that's the reason for it. Okay. When you are in a position of authority and you're serving the Lord, and the Lord has given you an entire nation of land and all of this, there is a rule to not killing every single one of those heathens. You are allowed to keep some of them alive and maybe even keep one as your wife. But it has to be done the way that it says in the scriptures. And nobody who's having a heathen wife now today is going to do it that way. That's what we're talking about. You get it or no, sis?
Okay. So you're saying at that time it was expedient at that time in the scriptures, but moving forward is not going to be expedient? Is that what you're telling me?
That's what I'm telling you.
Okay, okay. Now I understand. It's just that when I learned about this scripture, it wasn't referring to when Israelite men were actually taking heathen wives. I was told that it was only referring to other tribes, Israelite tribes, going against other Israelite tribes. Now this is new to me what I'm hearing now.
Who told you that? Who told you that? Who told you that?
That was in one of General Muhammad's class.
He said that this.
Saying how that's how brothers. It was concerning concubines. It was on the subject of concubines. He was explaining what a concubine was, because Israelite men was using that as an excuse to have heathen women, and he was explaining shaving the head and cutting the nails. Those were.
And he said that was for. He said that was an Israelite women.
Right. Other tribes.
Okay.
Other tribes.
Okay. All right.
That's when I was learning what that meant.
Okay. All right. So this is what we're gonna do. I would defer to whatever you heard from. Even if you would have told me Officer Shawar Yala said it, I would have been like, all right, whatever he said is right. All right. I was never taught that. I haven't heard that like that. So what I'll do is I'll get the information, but that's not how this was taught to me. Okay. I only teach what I've been taught. I ain't making up nothing. That's not what I was saying. But if you heard General Muhammad say something different, I have experience that sometimes in the scriptures there will be a case where it'll be taught this way, but then they'll come out and they'll correct that. I don't remember that class where he said this was Israelite women. What I do know is that there were men. This is talking about where you going into another country and taking over. All right, and this if you decided to leave them alive. This is why the brother asked the question in the first place. So even in Numbers, they was doing this. They was taking over, and they was keeping the women and killing the men. And that's what you originally asked Officer in the shop. All right. So what we're gonna do is, if I'll continue on with the breakdown, and I'll get that information and I'll bring it back to this class and clarify if I'm saying anything wrong. But I ain't never heard it like that, sis. All right. But I'll keep that in mind.
Right. Just so you know, when I said this, it wasn't to go against you.
Listen, sis, I ain't nobody. Listen to me. I ain't nobody. What if the truth is that's what that is? I'm here for the truth. I ain't here for my opinion. We ain't here for that. And I only teach what I've been taught. So if you've been in a class where somebody who's over me said something different than what I'm saying, then it would be up to me to go and see why they said it or how I got it wrong or whether or not it's not, you know what I'm saying? It's not like we robots. Like everybody can make a mistake. Maybe I heard something different. Maybe my notes ain't right, whatever the case may be. If you say General Muhammad said it, I'm not going to go against whatever General Muhammad said is right and I'm wrong. Whatever Officer Shawar Yala said is right and I'm wrong. You understand? We do this in rank and order. Now, if you tell me a brother that's under me was teaching a class and he said that, then I'm gonna say I'm right and he's wrong. You get it? Okay, yeah, no, I don't feel no type of personal way about it. I just ain't never heard it like that. So what we'll do is I'll make sure that I have the right answer for y'all. Meanwhile, the scriptures is what the scriptures is. Give me Deuteronomy chapter 7, and wherever you picked up off, keep reading.
Oh God, Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 2. Now in the Most High thy power shall deliver them before thee. Thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them.
This is what we've been taught in the ISUPK. When we get ready to get this land and we get these enemies before us and the Lord deliver them into our hands, we shall smite them, utterly destroy them, and show no mercy to them. Keep going.
Verse 3. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them.
Neither shall we make marriages with them. Right? Keep going.
Oh God, thy daughters thou shalt not give unto his son.
Absolutely not. Keep going.
Oh God, nor his daughters shalt thou take unto thy son. Verse 4. For they will turn away thy son from following me.
This is what I was talking about. The reason why we should not do that is because a woman has an effect on a man to where Adam knew exactly what the Lord told him to do and not to do. And because he loved his woman so much, he sinned against the Lord. Solomon did the same thing. Women have this effect where they can make a man do that. And a woman who's following after a man, it can be the other way around as well. So this is why we were never supposed to marry heathens. This is why it was here. Keep reading.
Oh God, that they may serve other gods.
And
so will the anger.
Go ahead.
Oh God, so will the anger of the Most High be kindled against you and destroy thee suddenly.
There you go. So let's stop right there. Now this is the law where it's talking about not dealing with heathens at all, right? Now give me Deuteronomy 21. Yeah.
Oh God, I got it. You want me to read or you want the who's reading it for you?
Hold on.
Oh God.
Go ahead and read verse 10, Racon.
Yes, sir. Luke or Deuteronomy?
Deuteronomy chapter 10, 21, verse 10.
Deuteronomy chapter 21, verse 10. When thou goest forth to war against thine enemies, and Yahweh, thy power, have delivered them into thine hand, and thou hast taken them captive, and feared among the captives a beautiful woman, and hast a desire unto her, that thou wouldest have her to thy wife, then thou shalt bring her home to thine house, and she shall shave her head and pare her nails, and she shall put the raiment of her captivity from off her, and shall remain in thine house, and bewail her father and her mother a full month. And after that, thou shalt go in unto her, and be her husband, and she shall be thy wife.
All right, so this is the scriptures. This is the law on that. I'm gonna get some clarification on it before I deal with it. But the reason I was bringing it out, is because now when we go into Numbers, right? Go to Numbers chapter 31, verse 6. These are not. 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 and watch what happens. Go ahead. These are not Israelite women. No, I want go ahead. Go ahead, Racon.
I had number 31 and 6.
Let's do it.
Number 31 and 6. And Moses sent them to the war, 8,000 of every tribe. Them and Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the priest, to the war, with the holy instrument and the trumpet to blow in his hand. And they warred against the Midianites.
The who?
As the Most High commanded Moses. And they slew all the males. And they slew the king of Midian, besides the rest of them that were slain, namely Evi and Rechem and Zer and Hur and Reba, 5 kings of Midian. Balaam also, the son of Beor, they slew with the sword. And the children of Israel took all the women of Midian captive and their little ones, and took the spoil of all their cattle and all their flocks and all their goods. And they burned all their cities wherein they dwelt, and all their goodly counsels with fire.
All right, stop right there. Stop right there. Go down. No, keep reading. Keep reading now.
Found out of our concept. Numbers chapter 31, verse 11. And they took all the spoil and all the prey, both of man and of beast. And they brought the captive and the prey and the spoil unto Moses and Eleazar the priest, and unto the congregation of the children of Israel, unto the camp at the plains of Moab, which are by Jordan, near Jericho.
Let me just interject something real quick. When it's talking about them being in the plains of Moab, right? They fighting the Midianites, but they're in the plains called the plains of Moab. This is something that you need to make sure you understand when it's talking about Esther and being a Moabite, and all of that different stuff like that. You got to know the geology of where things are, or else you won't even understand that there were certain lands that was called after one people, but there were other people living in those lands. I just wanted to bring that out. Keep going out.
And Moses and Eleazar, the priest, and unto the congregation, and they brought the captives and the priest and the spoil unto Moses and Eleazar the priest, and unto the congregation of the children of Israel, unto the camp and the plain.
Where are you at? Oh, okay. Go ahead. Keep going.
I was rereading verse 12.
All right, go ahead.
Unto the camp at the plains of Moab, which are by Jordan, near Jericho. And Moses and Eleazar the priest and all the princes of the congregation went forth to meet them without the camp.
So what we got going on is they took over this entire thing. They going to war. They doing exactly what was said in Deuteronomy chapter 7, and they're destroying everything, but they saving some stuff, right? Which is similar to what Paul did, but they wasn't given the direct order the way that, Saul, similar to what Saul did, but they wasn't given the direct order from the Most High to do everything, except for if you're going back into the law. What the law was that when you come into these lands that the Lord gives you, you destroy everything, you rip down their grove, you do not marry their women, etc., etc. We just read that in Deuteronomy, right? Everybody remember we just read that in Deuteronomy. All right. So if you take out the one that she's saying, the one that the sister was saying was Israelites, you could take that completely out of the equation. Then that goes back. Then the law was we was never supposed to deal with them women at all. All right. Now keep going.
was wroth with the officers of the host, with the captain over thousands, and captain over hundreds, which came from the battle. And Moses said unto them, have ye saved all the women alive? Behold, these caused the children of Israel through the counsel of Balaam to commit trespass against the Most High in the matter of Peor. And there was a plague among the congregation of the Most High.
All right, so stop right there for a second. What was the big deal, right? Was it that they was heathens? Because this is what I want y'all to understand. Regardless of whether it's a heathen or not, you are not allowed ever. I don't care if it's a white man, Arab, or whoever, to deal and take on and sleep with another man's wife. You see that in the shot, right? So what this is about, just based on us reading, is not only did they kill the men, kill the cattle and everything, but they left all the women alive, even those that were married to people that was within this thing. And Moses said, you saved all the women? Read verse 17.
Now therefore, kill every male among the little ones, and kill every woman that hath known the man by lying with him. But all the women, children that have not known a man by lying with him, keep alive for yourselves.
Now, what does that sound like? That sounds like the scripture that I got to get clarified, right? Go ahead. That sounds like the scripture that I got to get clarified. Why would he tell them to keep all the other women, which were Midianites? These was not Israelite women that have not known a man, which means it would not be adultery to deal with them. They are concubines or servants because now we're taking over that land. Therefore, this particular scripture would apply. So what I'm going to do with everything as of right now, what it looked like to me in the shop is we went to war, and the problem was they left women that were married to the people that they killed alive and took them for themselves, and that was adultery and a sin against the Lord. What could possibly be is that they were never supposed to take any of them, and the sister was right, and General Muhammad will clear that up for me, and I have all the answers for you next week, all right? All right, but you got my point of what I was saying, right? Right. What we know for sure is they was not supposed to keep them women that had been with men because they belonged to somebody else, and that was sin.
That's what caused the transgression against the Most High.
Absolutely. But if I'm wrong about the other scripture, then that means it was sin on top of sin because there was another transgression, meaning they were never supposed to keep them. But Moses told them to keep the women that did not have a man for themselves. So I got to get clarity on that. I'll get back to you on it. All right. What's that?
Or I could, if I could say something.
Go ahead.
Okay. As I said, when I had learned it, as far as when you said the women that had the men, when the scripture said the women that know the man, kill them, and the ones that never knew a man to keep them. From what I've learned is the ones that didn't have a man, those were the ones who kept his servants. They were never meant to be wives, just to be servants. And the reason to kill the women that knew men is because their family, their husbands were killed, they can grow to, start like a plot to, like go against you know, the Israelites that took over.
But
they knew they're gonna have. That's how, you know, it was in that perspective.
Okay, yeah, but on the other scripture, it starts saying that because if you have a servant and you humble her and different stuff like that, then you cannot give her to your son. You can't save her. Even in the servant role, you could take those women to wife them. It's no different than what we was talking about. It's no different than what we was talking about with the white man and how he would do with black women. He would pretend like he didn't like them. And then even though they were servants, he would go in and marry them or rape them or whatever word you would like to use there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and cut this short until I get everything broke down to me. I'll call my camp leader and make sure we do this the right way. From what I know about this scripture is they transgressed against the law because first of all, they were taking these heathen women that they killed their husbands for themselves. And if nothing else, that's adultery. If it is more than that, then I'll find out and I'll get back to you. All right. So anybody else got any questions?
Well, I just asked a question.
All right, go ahead.
I think I asked you this before about Paul. When he denied Christ 3 times, I think I had asked you if he fell out of the truth. But the question, I think I asked you before, but I still want to make sure that I don't recall. When Christ died and the disciples, I guess you could say, they went back to normal lives, right? It didn't mean they fell out the truth, correct?
They didn't necessarily go back to normal lives. They continued to push the truth the same way Christ told them to. What's the precept for that? Anybody know?
Block, sir.
Go ahead.
Is that when he said, go not into the city of the Samaritans?
Nah, he was still alive when he said that.
Oh, go out there, one.
Go ahead.
Is it in the book of Acts when they were all together, when they were praying all together, and you know how I said that the Holy Spirit fell on them, the room was shaking.
You're talking about the day of Pentecost.
Right.
I don't think that really talk about the disciples. Give me Mark chapter 16. Give me Matthew chapter 28. Matthew chapter 28 real quick. Okay. All right, so the first thing you got to understand about the truth, about being in the truth, and the terminology being in the truth, right? Okay. Everybody does not have the same job in the truth. You have some brothers that's going to come into the truth. They're going to make great troopers, and they're going to help facilitate, pass out flyers, carry camp equipment, help keep the school clean, help the officers that's in their city and the camp leaders do what they need to do. But they will never be given the opportunity to rule over other men because they still have some things that the Lord gave them that will prevent them from doing so, right? As long as they fight their battle and they find a way to live up to these laws, statutes, and commandments, they're taking their responsibility and doing their responsibility. You have some men that's going to be an officer of 50. He's going to come in here. He's going to learn how to keep himself from sinning. He may be able to try to keep his kids from doing it, but he might have an issue where he's got a rib or something that is not with the truth or whatever the case may be that prevents him from excelling and being raised up in the ranks of this truth or whatever the case may be. His job is to do an officer of 50. You have captains, you have generals. Everybody's responsibility is not the same. So when we talk about people being in the truth, it's some brothers. I know a brother right now that's been a trooper in the school for I don't know, the brother been about 5 Passovers, right? The brother is a solid brother as far as in the school, but has never taken on more responsibility in order to be raised up into an officer or so and so, so forth and so on. Is he in the truth? As far as I know, he is. I don't know of him sinning. I don't know of him saying anything against the school. I don't know of him not taking on or following every order that was given to him. Okay? So when you talk about being in the truth, we say a lot of things as far as to kind of separate from what people think. You got a lot of, I don't know, when you in a church, is you come to church, you go to Bible study, you saved, and you could still sin and do all this other stuff, and you still gonna make it to heaven and all of that. Being in the truth is not that. Being in the truth is making the decision in order to deny the things that you want in life and the things that you deem to be important to serve the Lord for the rest of your life until you die. All right. Now, when you answered the question about Peter, when he denied Christ, he wasn't denying Christ on the sake of he didn't want to do the work. He didn't want to, he was actually the authority at the time because they were killing Christ anyway. And Christ had already prophesied that he was going to do that. He did that out of fear in order to save his own life, or what he thought would save his own life. As far as him falling out the truth, I don't think I would necessarily call it that. When we talk about disciples falling out the truth, the one we can say did was Judas. Judas decided that those 30 shekels and his safety when they took down Christ and his disciples was more important than sticking with and following his Ottawan, following his camp leader, following the man that taught him everything he knew about God and the Bible and so on and so forth. So I wouldn't, Peter didn't fall out the truth. And what the brother was bringing out, if you go into Acts, when Paul is coming to Peter, Peter's still in the truth. He's still over, he's over it. You understand what I'm saying? He helped them find another disciple to replace Judas and to keep the work going. And he was the rock that Christ built the truth on. So he didn't fall out the truth. He just denied that he was actually in the truth in order to, what he called, save his life out of fear. All right. So if you can get me that, the one that we was reading yesterday, when Paul presented himself to Peter, Peter was still in the truth long after Christ was gone. He still did the work. The one that I was talking about was when Christ appeared to them. Let me see. After he had died, and he gave them an order. All right. Give me verse 18. Matthew chapter 28, verse 18. Matter of fact, give me start at verse 16.
There's the book of Matthew, chapter 20 and verse 15. Then the 11 disciples went away into Galilee, into a mountain where Yahushua had appointed them. And when they saw him, they worshipped him, but some doubted. And Yahushua came and spake unto them, saying, all power is given unto me in heaven and in earth. Go ye therefore and teach all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe all things whatsoever I have commanded you. And lo, I am with you always, even unto the end of the world. So be it.
So even after Christ was killed, he still came back and he gave disciples an order. If they were not in the truth, they would not have followed the order, right? They would have continued and, like she said, went back to their lives, their normal lives. Well, let's go to the Acts. Somebody got the precept in the Acts? Go ahead, officer. What'd you say?
I got Acts chapter 2 and verse 1. But I don't know the one where he presented himself to
we just read it yesterday. It's Acts chapter 9, I believe. What's Acts 2 and 1 that you talking about? You got?
That's the day of Pentecost. I know that's not the one you're looking for.
Okay, give me Acts chapter 9. See what's that?
I don't know. So actually, I don't want to know.
Go ahead, Trooper.
I'm too off. I don't want to got it.
All right, go. Whoever had it, go ahead.
All right, Acts chapter 9 and verse 1.
No, we don't want verse 1. Hold on, I'll find it. I got it in my Gentiles breakdown. I ain't want to have to. I ain't want to have to go. Also, Shawan knew that joint off the top of his head. I ain't that sharp. Let's see. Was it 11? Anybody got the notes from yesterday's class? All right, I got it. Give me Acts 21.
Okay, I don't want to check. Acts 9 and 21?
No, give me Acts chapter 21.
Acts chapter 21.
Let's go to yeah, go ahead and read it from the beginning.
I don't want. Acts chapter 21 and
verse
1.
We ain't gonna be able to read it from the beginning. It's lucky. Because we're trying to get down a little bit. So let me get there with you and I'll tell you where to start from. One day I'll be sharp enough to remember all this stuff off the top of my head. Right now, I just take great notes. Give me verse 18. Let's go to 18.
Acts chapter 21 and verse 18. And the day following, Paul went in with us unto James, and all the elders were present.
This was the point I wanted to make. What happened is the truth continued to grow even after Christ was gone, all the way through the Acts. The brothers was doing the same thing. James, Peter, John, all of the brothers that was rolling with Christ was still doing the same thing when Paul came on the scene. This is Paul, who had already been approached by Christ spiritually in Damascus or whatever, going and doing his work, but he's still coming up under the authority of what is the truth. This shows you that there wasn't 100 Israelite truths or groups. There were other people, because John still had his people. You had other different fake Israelite groups, just like you got now, but there was still one body that Paul had to come in, and even though he was given a different mission, he had to operate within that mission. Everybody understand? All right, so the truth is still going on. Christ is dead. Christ is risen. Christ has given the order. Here you go all the way down after Paul. And in that day, Paul went unto James, which was one of the disciples, and all the elders which were present. And keep going.
And when he had saluted them, he declared particularly,
The only reason you got a problem saying that is because you Levi. But go ahead. Salakia. Particularly. Yeah. One day you be a good slave like I used to be. Go ahead. Speak correct English.
What things the power had wrought among the Gentiles by his ministry. And when they heard it, they glorified the Most High, and said unto him, Thou seest, brother, how many thousands of Jews there are which believe, and they are all zealous of the law.
We can stop right there. The point of me bringing this out is Christ was gone. Christ gave the order. They continued to follow the order. Here James is, Paul reporting back to him. Peter's still at the helm. Peter's still ruling and doing his thing. Even after he denied Christ, he still kept doing the work. And being in the truth is continuing to do this work. It ain't like you ain't gonna sometimes not do everything right. That's what but as long as you could take the correction that comes along with the responsibility you give it, you haven't fell out the truth. You know how much stuff I done did wrong in here, and the brothers that's over me correct me, or we call it a checking in here. It's just correction. That's what you're here to do. Learn how to do things the right way. Learn how to serve the Lord the right way, because we did not know. We didn't know coming out of the world, right? So when you come in here, it's going to be a lot of things that you're going to be like, well, you know how we say you did that like a Christian, or you handled that like a nigga in the world. We try to teach you how to handle it like a man of God, right? Somebody give me the precept of why, even though you in the truth, you're trying to do things right, you still doing things wrong. What's the precept of why that don't mean you ain't in the truth? And it's guys, and just think about what class you in. Go ahead.
Is it just man fall is fall 7 times?
You could use that one. Somebody else take a crack at it. That ain't the one I was looking for.
So I got one.
Go ahead.
Is it the one where it's that brother? No, I don't think it's that one.
All right, give me Hebrews chapter 5, verse 12. This is the thing. You're going to come in the truth. Even sisters, they come in the truth and they learn some of the Bible, and they like, yeah, they learn. They follow in their head. They doing their best. But here's the point. Just because you are now in a position where you can teach, where you don't mean you know everything. You know what I'm saying? Here we is, somebody in the school heard something different. Me and Officer Shawar and Captain Katazai and Captain Akkad and General Q and General Kathum and General Mahayman and General Yohana all are supposed to be saying the same thing. So if I'm not saying what they're saying, then I have to be corrected. Why wouldn't I be saying what they're saying? Even though I'm a teacher? Hebrews chapter 5 and 12. Somebody read it.
Hebrews 5 and 11. For the time ye ought to be teachers, ye have need that one teach you again, which be the first principles of the oracles of the power, and are become such as have need of milk and not of strong meat.
So I got need that somebody teach me whether or not we talking about a heathen woman or whether we talking about an Israelite woman. When it's talking about you going to war and paring her nails and shit up. Somebody taught me that, but I might need to be taught it again. Why? Because all of the things that I learned in the world could be clouding my judgment on what I'm saying. So that's why we say stuff like, don't be sure, make sure. If you ain't sure, 100% sure, then we don't want to even teach it. Let's go ahead and figure it out before we move forward with it. But this is what it is. Them brothers was in the truth, but they didn't really understand the power of the Most High. They killed Christ, and Christ raised them up from the dead. So why would Peter be concerned about that? He saw him walk on water. He saw him raise the dead. He seen him do all of the miracles that he did. He seen him feed the multitude. He seen him after he came back, but he still denied him. Well, actually, this was before the resurrection, but he still denied him. Christ already told him that for the sake of fear. This is the only thing that's going to stop you from pushing this truth to the next level. You scared. What your mama going to say? What your wife going to do? What your kids gonna think? What your friends that you used to hang out with? When you get all of that fear out, what the white man, what the people at your job gonna think when they find out that you only deal with your people, that you love your people, that you don't celebrate their holidays? What they gonna think? You got to get to a point where you are not like Peter and saying that you deny Christ under the pressure, but that you are actually more so like those Christians that Paul was killing, who would not deny Christ even if it meant their life. Like those brothers who was under the Romans, who they killed all the brothers and killed the mama, who said we would rather die than to break the laws of our forefathers. That's what we got to get to. Now, we ain't quite there yet. We still got a little Christianity to shake. We still got a little Islam to shake. We still got all these different doctrines that we've been taught in America, tossed to and fro, acceptance and all of this other stuff that we got to get off us. And that's why we here. That's why we in class, to learn how to do it. But just because a brother don't know everything about the truth, just because a brother don't do everything right, as long as he take that correction, as long as he take that checking, and he continue to do the work of the Lord, he's still in the truth. All right, sis? The sister ain't gonna do everything right either, but as long as she take that correction and take that, and she continue fighting them demons, that's on. Everybody get demons on them. Satan, he ran up on Christ himself. So don't think he ain't gonna come on you now. Just because you got a demon, that don't mean you ain't in the truth. Now, when you stop fighting, that's when you fall out the truth. You understand? All right, Most High in Christ. Any other questions? No other questions?
I have a question.
Go ahead, sis.
I've asked this before, but this is a different. Anyway, this is concerning slavery, right? I know we don't celebrate birthdays, and I know that, of course, being in captivity, we're going to be around customs that God is against. It was someone's birthday, and I'm in management, and I halfway going there, but I just kept going. But they told me, oh yeah, someone's birthday, we're going over there to support. I went, but I just stayed in the background. I didn't eat the cake or anything like that. Was I still wrong? Because I knew it was a birthday party, but I allowed myself to go.
Yes, you were wrong. Precept. I ain't asking you. Go ahead. Go ahead, priest. Go ahead.
Paraphrasing, to them that know it, that is sin.
That's John. That's John. Yeah, give me that. What you had in the shop? No, I'm sorry. That's James. That's James Sharatazar. Give me that one. Go ahead, the shop.
I'm Shamar. I was going to say Hebrews 10 and 26.
What's that?
For there is no knowledge of the truth, there's no more sacrifice.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's not necessary. That is kind of. Anybody else got another one? It's one more that I was looking for that nobody ain't say. Y'all might not know this one. Let's get 1 Thessalonians. Go ahead.
It's the one that say abstain from the presence of evil.
That's it. 1 Thessalonians 5 and 22. Let's get it. What happened is It's some sister that you don't even know that you done told you an Israelite that see how you move and see the spirit of the Lord on you and watching your moves and know you don't celebrate and know you don't do that stuff that you might have just let down. You don't even know it. You got to stand, and it's harder for women because I know it's hard. It's hard for me. I just saw my brother today, and I was talking to him. I did everything I could to not even mention his birthday. It's his birthday. The whole conversation. Like, we didn't even talk about his birthday. He already know. It's only because he done had 5 birthdays that I ain't said nothing to him about. So he ain't even gonna bother me. Unless you do it that way, anytime you cave in, now they're gonna expect that, well, we just gonna be eating some cake or whatever. You could come on over. Well, we just gonna go over to their desk and be nice to them. They're gonna do it for the sake of being nice and being professional. Now, you, as I am, are in management. People come to that store all the time where I work at and expect that I'm going to greet them in a way that everybody, happy 4th of July, happy Memorial Day, happy Christopher Columbus Day. I ain't doing none of that. Now, what you're not going to do is get a Jehovah's Witness or a Muslim or a Mormon or any of these people to step away from their faith in order to be accepted or to be, like, even in America, us so-called having the right or the freedom of religion allows us the right to not have to say happy birthday or Merry Christmas or whatever the case may be. What you have to do is let upper management know it's against your religion. You don't celebrate it. You're not being unprofessional, but you don't want to take part in it, and y'all can have a conversation about it. All you were really doing, sis, is having a weak moment. And it happens to the best of us. I don't know if y'all remember, we had the same conversation when I was asked Officer Shawar during Christmas. They were saying to me, Merry Christmas. And I would say to them, enjoy your holiday. In my head, I'm saying that knowing that Christ is going to destroy your holiday, enjoy it while you still can. And I found out, based on me getting counsel in front of all of y'all in the middle of class, it was better for me to just not say anything. You understand? Because of this scripture right here. Give me 1 Thessalonians 5:22. Who got it? Go ahead.
1 Thessalonians chapter 5:22. Abstain from all appearance of evil.
Abstain from evil, right? That's what it say?
From all appearance of evil.
You don't even want it to look like you doing nothing that people in the world do. This is the reason why when we see Holy Ghost, we don't read Holy Ghost. When we see Jesus, we don't read Jesus. Even though we know it's said there, we understand that what it means and the proper context of it. Why we don't say church, even though a church is a body of men, we could call it, but it's certain things that you will do that will allow yourself to look like a nigga in the world or a sister in the world. And you want to separate yourself from that as much as possible. Abstain from all appearance of evil. Any more to that?
That's it, Ottawa.
All right, give me that James that you had pulled. You ain't got it?
Oh, sir, I ain't got my digital sword today. I'm using the
All right.
Lucky, Ottawa.
Go ahead.
What scripture was that? James
4:17.
Okay. James chapter 4, verse 17. Therefore, to him that knoweth to do good and doeth it not, to him is sin.
You get that, right, sis? All right. So, that being said, does that mean you're not in the truth? Based on the question that you asked earlier? No, it doesn't. We still learning. We still trying to get this thing right. As long as you could take the correction that you did something wrong, you repent for that and don't ever do it again. All right.
Okay.
All right. Most High in Christ. Anybody else got any questions? Go ahead.
Yeah, can I get a scripture breakdown on Amos chapter 6, verse 5 through 6?
What Christian you what who you been arguing with this week? With Quash made you have Amos chapter. It's always something. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just had a scripture. I saw it was on YouTube, but there was some scriptures. And sometimes when I do have the Bible study, that I have the scriptures. I write the scriptures down.
All right, so Amos chapter what? 6.
Chapter 5.
Chapter 5.
Verse 6.
And verse 6. Hold on 1 second. Let me get there. Let me get there. All right. All right. Verse 4. Verse 4 should answer your question. So start there.
Amos chapter 5, verse 4. For thus saith the Lord unto the house of Israel, seek ye me, and ye shall live. But seek not Bethel, nor enter into Gilgal, and pass not to Beersheba. For Gilgal shall surely go into captivity, and Bethel shall come to naught. Seek the Lord, and ye shall live. Lest he break out like fire in the house of Joseph, and devour it, and there be none to quench it in Bethel.
Go ahead, read the next one.
He who turn judgment to wormwood, and live off righteousness in the earth.
All right, stop right there. All right, so verse 4. For thus saith the Most High to the house of Israel, seek me, and you shall live. That's the life and death breakdown. You keep the law, statutes, and commandments, you get life. Everlasting life is the blessings of the Lord that come along with doing what he said to do. The death is, the wages of sin is death, meaning you break the laws of the Most High, and you get curses that come upon you. All right, so this is death, and there's life. So seek me and live. But seek not all of these other things that you seek, money and people and women and all of this other stuff, because it's going to come to nothing. America, seek not the help from America and become a part of the disunion and that the Masons and all of this other stuff, thinking it's going to help you, because all of this stuff is going to come into naught. All right, all of it is going into captivity up under Yahweh Shai. Verse 6, seek the Most High, and you shall live. If you don't, he gonna break out like fire in the house of Joseph and devour it, and there shall be none to quench it. Just like it said in Deuteronomy 28, one of the curses, and no man will buy you, no man will redeem you, nobody can be able to get you out of it in Bethel. All right, you turned judgment into wormwood and left off righteousness in the earth. It's just a warning to Israel. If you read verse 1, it said, hear ye this word which I take up against you, even a lamentation, O house of Israel. It's just a warning that if you do what the Lord say, you're going to live and you'll receive those blessings. And if you don't, he's going to devour you just like he did every other people that went against what he said to do. All right.
God.
All right. Any other questions? Go ahead. I could barely hear you.
Yeah, I was just saying, I just need a breakdown for a verse in Jeremiah. I think I know what it's saying, but I'm asking the question to make sure.
Jeremiah where?
Chapter 3 and verse 23.
Jeremiah chapter 3 and verse 23. Okay, you said you think you know what it's saying, and you want to make sure. What are you unclear about?
Well, it says basically, I think it's saying that asking other nations for help or salvation is in vain, that you need to be asking the Most High for help.
All right, let's read it and see if that's what it's saying. Read started from verse 21.
Jeremiah chapter 3 and verse 21.
Salakia. Start at verse 20.
Jeremiah chapter 3 and verse 20. Truly, as a wife treacherously departed from her husband, so have ye dealt treacherously with me, O house of Israel, saith the Lord.
Hey, stop right there. Somebody tell me what treacherous means. Go ahead.
Treacherously is like, like in a, and how do I say it? In a like horrible way, like almost like whoring, like.
Give it to me by definition, fire on it. Go ahead. You got it?
I was just giving my opinion. Treacherously.
No, we don't want no opinions. Go ahead.
Guilty of or involving betrayal or deception.
Deception. Right? Deception. Guilty of or involving a trail. Is that what it say? Trail? Oh, betrayal. Or so it's saying like you have dealt with me in a way like you betrayed me, right? Or you deceived me and you betrayed me is what it's saying right here. All right, so read it again.
Jeremiah chapter 3 and verse 20. Truly, as a wife treacherously dealt with departed from her husband, so have ye dealt treacherously with me, O house of Israel, saith the Lord. A voice was heard upon the high places, weeping and supplications of the children of Israel, for they have perverted their way, and they have forgotten the Most High. They have forgotten the Most High, their power.
All right, so stop right there. So the Lord said we betrayed him just like a woman who left her husband has betrayed her husband, right? It said a voice was heard upon the high, weeping and supplications of the children of Israel. Now they crying, and they want help. But they have perverted their way, and they have forgotten who was their power. If we would have known who our power was, we'd have never left the Most High. It's just no different than if a sister knows where her protection and her guidance and her leadership is, she would not leave her husband. It's the same way. Verse 22, read.
Return, ye backsliding children, and I will heal your backsliding backsliding. Behold, we come unto thee, but thou art the Most High, our power. Truly, in vain is salvation hoped from Blackett. Truly, in vain is salvation hoped for from the hills and from the multitude of mountains. Truly, in the Most High, our power is the salvation of Israel.
Stop right there.
For shame.
So this is exactly what you were saying. Truly in vain. Like, if you think you're going to get reparations and that's going to get you out of this situation, if you think that, you know, the white man is going to give you student loan forgiveness or give you jobs or give you equality, if you believe that some other nation is going to come and destroy America or whatever the case may be and free all the niggas, whatever, then you waiting in vain. Ain't nobody finna save you but God, but the Most High. And if it ain't him, you ain't gonna get saved. That's what it's saying. Exactly what you said. Truly in vain is salvation hoped for from the hills and from the multitude of mountains. What is our salvation? What does Yahweh Shah mean in the Hebrew? Yahweh is our salvation. That's what it means. Truly, in the Most High, power is the salvation of Israel. This is the only saving we're going to get out. That's what it means. Exactly what you said out. All right?
Son of a con, sir. The water.
No sweat. Any other questions? Go ahead.
Yeah, this is kind of a long chapter, so I wanted to get a breakdown on Luke chapter 22, 54 through 62, when Peter denies Christ.
What about it?
Yeah, that scripture, I was like, why was it that, and I was reading the scripture, why did Peter deny Christ? What was the reason that Peter denied Christ?
I think I answered that a little bit earlier. I don't know if he was in the class. He denied Christ because he was in fear of them killing him the same way they was killing Christ. He denied Christ out of fear that they were going to do him the same way they did Christ. All right. Also, he denied because Christ had already prophesied that everything that Christ prophesied come to pass. So without going into the whole thing of what happened and all of that, basically what Peter was doing was trying to preserve his own self, trying to save himself from the punishment that they had gave Christ. But in reality is they probably wouldn't have killed him anyway because they already took down the leader. And unless they was ready to do something about it, you know what I'm saying? Another reason that we could speculate all types of things is Peter had already cut the dude ear off when they came and got Christ. So they knew Peter was about that life. But at the end of the day, it all goes back to he feared what they would do to him after seeing what they were doing to Christ. And he just simply said, I ain't got nothing to do with it. That's not me. All right. And that's all it was. Any other questions?
Nah.
Anybody, any other questions from anybody else? All right, with that, pass the class over to Priest and Officer in the shop.